nothing anything quite that dramatic, but the thing that surprised me is we don't get that many calls in the middle of the night, and the feedback that I get a lot of people come up to me at events, I get a lot of emails, and ironically, after a certain hour is over or the show is over, frequently the producer gets a lot of phone calls and comments because they find because we have the luxury of spending a lot more time on a specific story, and people are really listening. But the one that generated the most calls was the night that I tried to do a fair discussion on the casino vote that was going to be held in Milford. We got calls from California, Hawaii, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Maine, and Massachusetts. I was like totally blown away at how that particular issue caught fire. The other thing that I was listening to, and I want to tie something Rob said to what you've been talking about, Matt. You didn't say his name, but at most conservative political events or Tea parties, if you say the name Q, people get up and they shake and scream and yell. Well, the guy who started that Jimmy fundraising softball match was Q, okay? The guy who started going after smart meters in Worcester was Q. The guy who went after Worcester's really biased sign ordinance, providing you weren't putting a sign up for an Irish Democrat, okay, was Q. And I've gotten to know him pretty well. Matt knows him pretty well, and I'm going to tie in what you said about, you know, do we really have a shot at convincing a liberal? Well, here's what we do have a shot. When we find something that we can do together and agree on, maybe like a sign ordinance, Common Core, smart meters, the Jimmy Fund, the wiffle ball game, we now have the opportunity to talk to those people that we never had before. And all of a sudden, when that one person's over here and the other person's over here, and they would stand there and yell and scream and yell at each other, now all of a sudden they go, wow, I hung out with Matt a little bit. Really, Matt's not a bad guy. You know, and now you have little interchanges, you have little interactions, and all of a sudden you start having discussions and you walk away not hating each other anymore. Maybe you still disagree, but you get the opportunity to plant a seed with somebody that you never would have had you not taken that step. So, you know, I think when you go out and you get those opportunities, we need to capitalize on it, plain and simple.
That's I think the challenge the Tea Party has, and I think all of these bloggers were preaching to the choir so much. So unless we can get that connection outside of the whatever conservative is, I question that now. I think a lot of people don't understand what conservatism is.
And so many conservatives can have this thing that if you don't agree with me 100%, I can't hang out with you.
Right. They think conservative and Republican are the same thing, and it's not the same thing. And so we have that challenge of getting outside of this room and outside of the bloggers have to get beyond. And I think Rob did explain that well. There's methods to do that. We should be helping them do that. Today I was reading
sure. Can we let Skip make a quick comment here? Go ahead, Skip.
I think, in listening to this, I think you're right that sometimes it is hard to break out the conservative shell that's around, because we do write from a conservative standpoint. We do go after people, and to say we go after people, sometimes we do, but sometimes we chide them. But I know that we are tracked all the time by the other side. And it does come up in Facebook, it does come up on Twitter. And a couple of folks, not me, I'm not all that good on Facebook and Twitter, but a couple of the other bloggers are. And that's when you get the chance to engage people. So I look at the blog as being the whole thing. Sometimes Facebook and Twitter as being the recon squad that allows you to really engage the other side. And it's a model that works fairly well for us. something about, the huge stuff granite rock is built up, or Pete with all of his writers. Let me tell all of you folks that each one of you sitting in the audience can do this all by yourself. Twitter and Facebook, you don't have to be a high-tech type of guy like I am with the other rocksters, or have worked hard to build up your organizations like Pete and the others. Each one of you can get out there and just, like we say, this is what I believe. And I think it's right. You will be engaged, you will be challenged, and you probably lose a lot of arguments right off the bat. But you will get better at it. The more you do, the better off you are. But a lot of people sit there and go, I can't do that, I just can't do it. So let me give you the one-word motto of Granite Rock. Fearless. And put it this way, if you don't, who will? And I suggest that you get out there, because we are a known entity. Sometimes people who aren't that well known can actually do better than us that are out there.
We find a lot, yeah, we find a lot of good people. Skip, we find a lot of good people amongst the commenters. Yeah, it's not doing two-way very well. As I skip, we find a lot of good people amongst the commentators, and occasionally we elevate those bloggers.
That's true. We have them into our show of what happens. And then as you go out there to Twitter and Facebook, you'll find you will attract your own crowd without having to set up a blog site and all the other stuff that goes along with it. The disruptive technology makes it easy for you to have your own set of followers. And also those people that will watch you and try to argue with you. And that's where you get the chance to say, here's what the Tea Party believes. And I know it well. We were one of the co-founding members of the New Hampshire Tea Party Coalition. So free markets, constitutional values, and governance, and fiscal legality. Those are three easy things that you should be able to talk about and defend Facebook and Twitter.
All right, let's.
I should point out something else when you mentioned about what the Tea Party actually believes. There's a person I clash with every now and then who tweets under the name Mr. Worcester. He's from this area, who talked about how the Tea Party is a hate group. Now, I don't see any bars on that door. And I mentioned where I was going to be. He could have been here and heard this, what was said. But if he had come, it would have been inconvenient for his beliefs.
I think we all suffer from that, because I see sometimes on our Facebook page, somebody will post something rational, and it could be a Tea Partier will come back with some comment that is either name calling or it just doesn't add to the conversation. And then to go beyond that, the conversation is done. And it's often our own side that kills the conversation, because instead of discussing the issues, they get into the name calling and making fun of our opposition. And I think we have to have more respect for their position, not their position, but the fact that they have these ideas and maybe they're wrong, but if we call them stupid, that's the end of the conversation.
The trick is to channel their good intentions into actual good deeds.
Right. Today I saw, I think it was Drudge had the link about Ralph Nader's new book. He has a whole chapter talking about how conservatives have been maligned, believe it or not. Now he does it in a way where he's maligning us, but he has some good points about how conservatives have done a bad job of articulating what a conservative is. And I think that's part of the challenge, that we don't have a lot of good writers that can articulate conservatism, and so people are left with the progressives defining it as racist and bigots and hicks and whatever you name it, and because we haven't done a good job defending ourselves.
Which asks the sole question of changing the face of the country. By 2040, this country will look like this. Right? And because there's some people here that have some beliefs. You can stop the war right now, stop the COVID, but it won't change. The country changes. I'm Hispanic. I have 60 cousins my mom's side of the family. 30 of us are born in this country's uniform. Some of us are New York police officers. None with all the rank of sergeant. None. We're natural for the Tea Party, but when we hear some of the ignorance and stuff, you think we're going to join? Everybody in this room has a relative. And when you hear him talk, all these damn liberals and stuff, hey, Johnny, you sound like a Republican. I'm not a Republican. My parents work for the only union man. Because he hears what the media wants to indoctrinate with. And your young Hispanic kid up the block up here is going to go up with that thing, and this is what Republicans and conservatives are. Because we don't control the foul-mouthed people in our party, we need to control them. And we need to reach out. Best example, my sister's a raging liberal. She said, you know, if you guys wanted to get a heck of a lot of signatures for the gas tax, you can come into these neighborhoods like Worcester and Alabama. There are people I know that would have signed it. Call the people in charge. Oh, we want Harley Carr. Sorry, people need to see, don't listen to Harley Carr. You need to go to their papers, their radio stations, their other forms of media. I talked to the head of the Massachusetts Republican Party Communications Director. I just girl, but she should be in charge of a hot dog stand. I asked her, are you reaching out to other media? Are you reaching out to Univision? What's Univision? Every cable system in this country has the two largest Spanish networks. Hell, they're the ones showing the World Cup in Spanish. We shoot ourselves. We take that 45 and go, boom, shoot ourselves in the foot. Effective. We do it great. A great job. Because everybody in John said, you know, everybody tells me Hispanics are conservative. No, we are conservative. We are a conservative people. But you're never going to get us to join unless we shut the foul-mouthed people and reach out and say, brother, join us. The country's changing. You're not going to stop it. It's enough. It is going to change. When I was 5 years old, this country is probably 28th largest Spanish-speaking country. Now it's in the top 5. You cannot stop what's going to happen. It's a result of legal immigration, not illegal immigration. It's legal immigration. It's changing it. And my family's a proof of it. You know, my family has given to this country a hell of a lot more than a lot of families have. A hell of a lot more. And we're behind. And you wonder why we go and vote for the other side. Because what we're telling you, believe you. It needs to change. We need to shut those people down. Because you will get people like, and John knows, this gentleman right here, they know my family. They know the struggles we go through. And they'll tell you straight out that I'm 100% correct. We care. I care. I love this country. I don't care about my family's country. I want to live in a third world nation. But we're going to get a third world nation unless we go to the Hispanic community and say, brother, join us. Because we're the ones that know what's going on. You think we want illegal aliens in our neighborhood? You think we want these people? We don't. But you have to talk to us, because we'll tell you, this is what you need to do to solve the border situation. This is what you need to do to solve this and that. We'll be more than happy. But the alignment has to stop.
Would you be willing to help us do that?
I just said yes.
No, I know, I understand that, but I mean, this is the first time I've seen you, that's why I asked.
And we've talked before, it's not the first time yet.
Okay, but yeah, definitely, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, and if we're afraid to speak to people, I mean, reason and logic knows no race, no gender, no creed, no nothing. If people have the ability to do that, but if you don't approach them with it, then how are they possibly ever going to get the other side?
Tea Party's colorblind, but they're not very careful how they react to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
John?
Plus, the media will always emphasize whoever speaks wrong. Sorry.
No, it's quite right. Alex makes a very good point. And when I was talking about get up out of your seat and do something, as I sat down, I left out something that now I have the opportunity to say that when I can say it. If you're going to do something, make sure it's in a positive direction. If you're not a good speaker, don't speak. Be a doer. If you're not a good writer, don't write. But find your talent and then take it and use it. Because what happens, and Alex, we've seen this. Yeah. Pete, we've seen this. I mean, a few people in here have seen it. Especially when you travel around the state to the degree that Alex and I do. There are people who stand up and say stuff, and you just go like, oh my God. Because they turned off 95% of the room. And they have their hearts in the right spot, but they're just not talented at getting the words either out by pen or spoken. And it's hard for us collectively to say to somebody, gee, Brad, you know, you're a great guy, but just keep writing, okay? Or, you know, please don't write it. And it's not that we need social police, that's not what I'm saying, but it's like Alex said, we have to be really careful of how we say things and what we do, because, quite frankly, you know, we talk about the Pope today, that's what they're doing to us. They're taking those 2 or 3 little words. I mean, perfect example. The last time that the Tea Party bus came to Lincoln Square, what was the picture on the front of the T&G? Anybody remember?
With the angry,
Okay. I don't know their names, God bless them. They look like hicks, they're from out in the center of the state. He's a beekeeper, they're farmers. They had bib overalls. It was pouring rain. Okay? I couldn't get out from behind where I was to step in front of the camera, because I'd done that 3 or 4 times to the TNG reporter that night, that afternoon. They took a picture of these 2 people with long hair, he's got a beard, who were drenched, who were doing this. And what were they doing? Well, the TNG projected that as 2 angry white people. No, it was 2 farmers from the Brookfields who were crying while they were singing God Bless America. Okay? And when you see something like that that goes to happen, step in front of the camera. Or when the Globe, yes, Freudian slip. When a newspaper publishes things like that, or somebody comes out and says something like that, then we all need to stand up and say, wait a minute, that's not what happened. And I think that's what a lot of us are doing. But these are the problems that we've got, and one reason why, like what Alex is saying, but especially with the Republicans, they've got a deaf ear towards the inner city. I mean, the gas tax thing. I've had Jeff Deal on my show so many times, I can't even count at this point. I had a guy walk up to me at my church and say, I heard you on the radio about the gas tax. Yeah, it finally makes sense to me. I need to sign that petition. I went on their website, and they're nowhere in Worcester. And I went, really? Because I knew that there was one spot. They went one spot for a couple hours. But there's an example. But they weren't in downtown Boston, were they? No. They weren't in any minority neighborhoods, were they? They weren't in Lowell. They were on the fringe of Lowell, so like a market basket or something. I mean, they weren't in Lawrence, and they weren't in Springfield.
I'm going to tell you folks something. And this is going to suffer, I'm going to say. But there is no people on the face of this planet more conditioned to accepting a strong-hand government than these families. If it means having the streets safe, they will accept it. Damn, I'm American. I don't want to go with my parents went. But we got to open our hearts and open our doors, because this will never come to us. Only when we secure it. Trust me, folks. It will come. Because we think, because we sit down and think, oh no, they don't care race, so they're not votes. But we don't reach out. We're only going to create that, which is eventually going to destroy us.
Hey, Jim. Stand up and say why Jackie Costas is running. First of all, yes, she has a Greek last name. She's half Peruvian and half German Jew. Talk about a combination. Okay? Nobody knows that, but she is. Her father escaped Nazi Germany as a Jew, went to Peru, and met her mother. Okay? And she married a Greek guy. So she's got, like, in her neighborhood, she's covered. Here's a woman who works at Walmart who saw a lot of things happening. And what is she, I mean, Jim's working with her campaign. So Jim, tell everybody why Jackie said she has to run to try to make a difference because of what she sees.
Yeah, I mean, basically, she's running because I asked her to run, but she sees it firsthand at the cash register. She talks, I've talked probably 1,000 doors with her already, and I've heard the story over and over again, but her biggest thing is where she's so passionate about welfare reform, about EBT abuse, about, and better life. She lives in a socialist country. She came from Peru. She was like a middle-class family, and she saw how it was all taken away from her. One day, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, now the socialists are running this country as a military coup, and it's like, next thing you know, it's like, yeah, waiting in long lines for food, or waiting in long lines for healthcare, and it's just like, she just saw her go, and her biggest incentive is the fact that she said, I don't want to see that happen here. You know, that's what she's so passionate. I mean, I guess that's really what she's so passionate about, the fact that I've experienced it, I've seen it. You know, and then having her father been, you know, lived through Nazi Germany as a German Jew, and lived through escaping the camps and all that stuff. So she's got that from her father, and from her mother. She's got the socialism. But she's really passionate about this. And like I said, I see it in her. And there's so many Jackies around. There are just so many. We just need to ask them to step up.
And this is what Alex is talking about.
A lot of them, yeah.
We're not even realizing the untapped thing. I mean, I had a group, does anybody in this room, a couple you might, because I've talked about it, know who the New England Freedom Riders are? No. Okay. You know who they are? Okay. Yeah, you would. Okay. This started out last 9/11 in Washington, D.C., when a bunch of ex-military guys, you know, veterans, who just happened to wear leather jackets and ride Harleys, went to Washington, D.C., and they were infuriated that the march that they staged in Washington, D.C. was covered up by the national media. So 6 guys came back on motorcycles, and I don't know how they had a conversation coming back, but they did. And they decided to establish an organization called the New England Freedom Riders. Okay? That was in September. I started having them on my show in August. By November, the 6 went to 40. Guess how many paid members they have right now? Take a guess. 745. And these guys are putting their money where their mouth is. They're taking time off from work and their businesses. Perfect thing was Justina, the rally. They staged a huge biker sit-in in Framingham. Okay? I don't know if it never made the media, but when they transferred her from Framingham down to Connecticut, there were bikers all throughout watching to make sure the car she was in was safe. And it's this one guy who's about the size of me and Rock together, and when you say America to him, I mean, literally, he gets a tear in his eye. He said, you know, we are a little intimidating when we show up. Okay? They don't want to be Republican. They don't want to be Democrat. They want to do what's right. They're constitutional people. And we're ignoring those guys. I tell you, that group's going to become huge as well.
You see, one of the great things that's really very easy here is we don't trade in tribal politics. Tribal politics is you vote for the guy named O'Brien because your name starts with O too, right? We don't have that. We have a philosophy based on ideals that have been tried throughout the world and always worked because they work. Free people pursuing their own talents, whether it's they want to be candlestick makers or bakers or writers or baseball players, and the free marketplace allows us all to sort this out in a way where you bang it to the microphone, in a way that we can all work out in harmony and peace. This is what we all want, whether we came from Limerick or Lima. This is a core tenet of the Tea Party. We have nothing but opportunity in front of us. Some people have told me in private, and I don't want to, go too far down this road, that people are kind of bummed out and that the other side seems to have everything going for them. They have nothing going for them. They're losing on every single front. The only way that you do not know this is because you are not listening. If you listen to them, they are panicked. We have the winning ideas, we have the winning philosophy. All we need to do is to act with the courage of our convictions. Now I'm going to leave it right there unless somebody else has something smarter to say. Sir.
Yeah, I just have one small point. Some of you guys don't know me, but I think Brad White here now is vouch for me. I was the first meeting campaign for me 8-9 years ago. There were many years ago. I was one of those 5 or 6 people who was there. I agree with everything that's being said, and I want to just reiterate something Alex said about reaching out to different groups. But as you said, sir, making up a coalition and we're not having a tribal political view is important here in Massachusetts, but we have to in order to do that, we do have to find a way to work with the infrastructure that's there. And I'm talking about the Mass DOT, and I'm talking about the Democratic Party as well.
Sure.
We have to find inroads. That's why we need people like Brad in the legislature. And that's why we need people who are building a consensus. But I've met many people in Tea Party meetings now. Give a quick background of my experience. I ran 6 counties from McCain Palin in Southwest Florida. I delivered 12,000 pieces of literature in 72 hours with 3 volunteers. Every county I worked in went for McCain Palin, and then 2 years later, I delivered Southwest Florida for Rubio's campaign as a coordinator down in Naples, Florida. But every state is different. But we had some people down there saying, no, we just, screw the Republican Party. We're going to take over this because the RPF was basically composed of a bunch of Democrats who came to Florida who they couldn't run as Democrats, they had to run as Republicans. I knew most of them. But we did have to make the inroads, and Rubio won by taking over the legislature. And that's a major thing we have to do here in Massachusetts. We have to have strong ties, and Alex and I and Brad maybe know that when the next state committee meeting comes after the election, you better bring your bat and your knife and mark up as many, scratches, because it's going to come down to what ideology works. We know the ideology we have works. And to Alex's point about reaching out to different communities, I'll give 2 quick examples. I was in downtown Worcester. I'm a black Irish guy, just happened to speak about 8 languages, Spanish, Portuguese, the 2 of them. We walked with a guy named Carlos Gonzalez, who was a state rep from Manchester, New Hampshire. We handed out so many.
He was Hispanic, he was a Republican, majority of Hispanics.
And we walked on Essex Street, downtown Lawrence. We handed out so many Mitt Romney signs, we ran out of them. I was there, Paul Adams, who was a state rep running for Senate, John Volnick, a guy running for U.S. Congress, was there. We got all these people together. It didn't matter whether you spoke Spanish or not. That's another point that you don't have to worry in these communities. If you don't speak Spanish, you learn a couple words, they appreciate it. But for people who think that that's not a veritable gold mine for the Republican or the Tea Party cause, I walked the streets. We ran out of Mitt Romney signs. They were putting them up in every window we could find. That's downtown Lawrence, where Willie Land Tweed Keyboard ran the show for years, and everyone from Howie Carr down probably hates his guts. But we can make inroads in these places, but the Mass GOP doesn't really care. So when the push comes to shove, we can move forward with our ideology, but as Rob, the ego flipper over here, always says, we have to have ties with people in the establishment. But if push comes to shove, you've got to get these people out if you want your message to survive. So that's just a point of how to go about what the gentleman here is talking about, making our ideology put forth. But it's going to have to be.
It's not about tribalism. It's about getting your message out from your marketing point of view. You have a product, you want as many people to buy that product and enjoy that product. Because when you tell 1/3 of the population you can't have this product, and that 1/3 becomes 2/3, you're not going to have a product. And we have to go out there. Because, let's be honest, if you're a Catholic in urban America, there wouldn't be a Catholic church if there wasn't for Hispanics.
I'm curious, since we're talking about alternative media, are there conservative Spanish language bloggers?
There are. There's Ruben Navarrete. He's a friend of mine on Facebook. There are others out there, but of course the media doesn't want you to know they are out there.
There's also Cafe Con Leche,
There's Cafe Con Leche Republicans, which is a full-life conservative group, guarantee their pro-immigration, but they will let you on their site. Put stuff. I'll get you in touch with the president on that.
Okay. I've talked an awful lot.
Yeah, I just got to say I'm very appreciative to the bloggers that allow people like me, John, to go on radio and get experience, Rob to tweet and put stuff out there, the tech guy to take a video or have me on a show. It's a great experience. For a guy who's a business guy, it's different when you're a candidate, and all these different avenues really help out a lot. And the message I really have is one-on-one, just door knocking, talking to one person at a time, and trying to say how big government is not good for their livelihood. And it works, but it's a lot of effort. Thanks, man.
No, thank you, Brett. We've been here for 2 hours. I think we've all learned a little something, right? I think we all want to get Alex's card so that we can start harassing him about taking us to parts of the town that we haven't seen so well before, and perhaps we'll make some new friends. And I think we've all really appreciated our friends coming all the way from New Hampshire to come talk to us. We have Pete, we have John, we have Rob. So, now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. Now I see. Did I mention official beer sponsor of the Worcester Tea Party, Sam Adams, right?
You know, can I just comment on that?
What?
Does anybody here know Ed Koch's story?
Yeah.
Okay. You know that Sam Adams Brewing now owns 1.5% of the beer market in the world? You know how big that is?
I know what my bar tab is.
Well, let me just tell you, 1.5% of the beer market in the world is worth billions of dollars. How did Ed Koch start? Anybody know?
Yeah, suitcase, with a suitcase going to a bar, right?
Suitcase going to a bar in the back of a station wagon. And he basically didn't give up. He kept going to a bar, passing it out with a good attitude, a friendly attitude, stuck out his hand and said, "Hi, how are you? This is who I am. I'm selling beer. Would you please try it?" Didn't come in mean and nasty, didn't come in, you know, driving a Cadillac or a Lincoln or Mercedes, liquor salesman in a three-piece suit. Just did that. And then when he first got his first big order, okay, they said, "Yeah, we'll take one." He's thinking that meant a pallet. No, they meant a tractor trailer load. And he didn't have the brewing capacity, okay? But he solved that problem really quickly. And that's a whole other story. But I just thought I'd share that with you because he's American success story, and everybody in this room can kind of tie it into what we're doing. You just never give up. You just go every day, try to take the dance a little further, keep a smile on your face and be polite and courteous and try to welcome everybody. And that's how it's sold beer, right?
That's all I'm saying.
Go with Jägermeister, too, probably. Jägermeister?
Yeah.
He went to finally ended up at a college bar, took it from Germany,
Yeah.
ended up at a college bar, somewhere in the Midwest, and that's how Jägermeister started. He became a billionaire, and he's the owner of Goose.
Yeah, just one thing, everybody's aware of Common Core.
We might have heard about that, yeah.
You might have heard about it. Common Core Forum is a great Facebook website, and it's a Facebook page, be part of it. I do help them out by trying to distribute signs at cost, so if you want a yard sign, it's much better. This is just a picture of it. Use common sense, not Common Core. I have them available, I have about 8 or 9 left, and I just pick up a bunch at a time and distribute it in my travels around. So if you're interested, want to see me after the meeting.
Excellent. I want to announce we are going to have a July meeting. We're going to have Paul Carney from Mass Fiscal Alliance is going to be talking to us about campaign finance reform, a topic that we already talked about a little bit this week. I'm going to endeavor to get somebody who's going to think that we need to have, you know, high regulation to make sure that we don't say the wrong thing in front of, you know, politicians and hurt their poor little feelings. To see if we can work that out. I don't know if we'll be able to get somebody. I sincerely hope that everybody has taken something from this meeting and they'll be able to step forward and do something. If you have any questions about anything you want to try, anything you want to do, anything that you want a title for, call me, 978-423-5747, or email me, matt@worcesterteaparty.com. That's Matt with 2 T's for talks too much, worcesterteaparty.com. You hear me on the radio, you see me on Pete's.
Well, I was just going to suggest, since Chip isn't here to see things, I thought we should give him the last word. Do you want to say a number?
You got anything else to chip in, or are you doing okay?
I'm fine right now.
We're about to end, so we figured we'd give you a shot before you're done.
Okay, great. Well, hope you were able to hear most of it, Skip. I moved the little people around a bit so you can hear people better.
And thank you. And I would just tell people, go out there and be fearless. Have a set of beliefs, make use of them, and don't ever be guilty about having them.
And
After all, one of the earlier speakers said we have this. It's basically the same message that our founders gave to us. Just as progressives have basically changed the culture out from underneath us and have conflated things got society and government together, and that government, only government can do charity. Don't let them get away with it, but know your facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray?